And joining us now is Hal Kempfer, retired Marine intelligence officer and host of the Strat podcast. Always good to see you, Hal. Thanks for being here today. First, I got to ask you, what you make of these new developments this week.
Well, Laura, I'm cautiously optimistic to a certain extent. I will say one thing. President Trump did something that President Trump hasn't done, President Biden didn't do. He dictated terms to Prime Minister Netanyahu. He said, hey, stop the firing or stop the bombing now. And interestingly enough, that's exactly what happened. The IDF did stop the offensive operations. They went to a defensive mode. I thought that was interesting. That was a big change in the relationship, and there's a lot that underlies what the U.S. would have done if Netanyahu hadn't agreed to that. So that's very interesting. Now, there's a lot of things that still have to be negotiated. The governance structure, obviously, Hamas does not like the fact that they're going to be blocked out of that. So there's some resistance to that plan. They're talking for some Palestinian technocratic thing. They don't like the idea of disarmament. They did kind of get the Palestinian Islamic Jihad on board with Hamas last night, so that was positive. But there's still a lot of details that have to be worked out.
Hamas agreeing to parts of Trump's plan, peace plan, as we've been talking about, but they say more negotiations are needed. So I know you know the subject very well. What are the next steps that are needed here?
Well, the next steps you're going to have to figure out is what exactly is this governance structure? What will that look like? And then the big one, and this is going to be huge. In fact, I don't even know if Hamas can get its own forces, its own fighters, if you will, to agree to this, is to lay down their arms. There is a lot of resistance within the movement. There are some significant doubts that at the rank and file level, at the small unit level, that they will actually agree to do that. And then when you have not just Hamas, but PIJ and other groups that are there, that may just fall apart. That may not work. And that, of course, is a major component. So that's got to be worked out as well. And then what happens to all the Hamas members? They talk about amnesty or giving them, passage to another country or something like that. There's a lot that has to be worked out there. Hamas is concerned. They're basically in an existential negotiation. When it's done, there may not be a Hamas like there has been a Hamas, and they don't know what that Hamas would look like.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe that Tuesday also marks 2 years since the deadly October 7th attacks. 2 years. More than 1,000 people were killed, as we know, that day, with around 250 taken hostage. We all can remember that video. There's nearly 50 hostages who remain captive, about 20 believed to still be alive. And the brother-in-law of a hostage taken on October 7th spoke to NewsNation's Connell McShane. I wanted to play some of this for you.
I want to be very cautious with Hamas' response. I think it's too early to be enthusiastic about it because we've heard before there are yes, but responses, and this feels more of that.
All right. So, is it too early to have hope at this point? Do you see Hamas backing out?
I actually think that's a very, very smart way to look at it. You don't want to get too optimistic. You don't want to get your hopes up too high. On the other hand, this is probably the closest I've ever seen in the last 2 years to a real ceasefire, or I should say peace type of agreement. I don't want to get too broad in how I think this thing is going to work out, but I think there's a possibility of getting the hostages out. There's a possibility of maybe developing a good day after plan. I think, though, that getting Hamas out of being a fighting organization, a terrorist organization, that's going to be very difficult. And I'm not quite sure. I could see this getting part way and then things kind of breaking down. But if they can get the hostages out before it breaks down, that would be a very positive step.
Yeah, we're all praying for that. All right, retired Marine intelligence officer Hal Kempfer, great to have you on the program. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.